What I have done differently, and now looking back, is a question I often get. So in this recording, I want to kind of unpack the difference between being in a single room versus in a double room. I lived in Reds for my first year in undergrad, and at that time I wanted to be in a traditional Red. So the university that I went to had a different residences where there were different formats of the suites. Traditional here meant that it was your old school, built in the 1900s kind of dorm, where it's a long hallway with a lot of rooms, and the rooms were either a single bed or double bed, where two people would be living together. And I wanted traditional res for a couple of reasons at the time. I wanted to make sure that I was socializing with other people. I am a bit introverted, so I want to make sure that the environment around me would force me to socialize with people. And for the second part, I also wanted a double room because I wanted a roommate for the same reason. I wanted to make sure that I had friends, that I was socializing, and that I wasn't going to just be a hermit in my single room all the time. And then I also had some side reasons. The university that I had, they would have different theme floors and residences, and the particular program that I was in had a theme floor in a traditional res. So that was another reason why I wanted to be in a traditional res, because I wanted to make sure that the people on my floor around me were all in my faculty, so that again I can make more friends and force me to know more people in my program, because again I am a bit introverted, so I'm totally fine sitting in a room by myself and not talking to people, and I didn't want that to be the case for my next 4 years. So, and lastly, I had chosen traditional reds because I liked how to look from the outside. I wanted to live in a Harry Potter-esque residence, and at that time I thought it would be pretty cool. So these are some of the reasons why at that time, when I was 16 years old, why I chose a traditional res and a double room over going for the more newer residence styles where there were kitchenettes or kitchens, and you had 3 or 4 other people in your little condo suite. So looking back, I would definitely change it. I don't think, how the residence looked from the outside, whether or not it was Harry Potter-esque or not, really mattered. For sure, I would continue to, pick my decision on having themed floors. But that wasn't, but I don't think that was a huge deal either, because I think with orientation week, you get to know a lot of people in your faculty. And, it's set up in a way to make sure you kind of make friends anyway. So in that respect, I don't think a theme floor really truly mattered. But what I really think it mattered was whether or not you had your own single room or double room. Looking back, I would definitely, even if I did wanted to continue in a traditional res, which was really fun. And again, I really liked the cohort that I had on my floor. We were all really close to each other. We all went to classes with each other. So I really, really like that. But the one thing I would change is I would definitely not be in a double room anymore. I would go for a single room. So for one, me and my roommate were very close, so we weren't, we weren't the type to be fighting with each other, but there were definitely couples on my floor who fought with the roommates all the time. Some people on my floor were a bit psychotic, so this is definitely a consideration you need to have when you're picking your res. I don't look at it from rosy glasses that everyone's going to be best friends with their roommates. That's not the case. Some people have a really horrible year, and it sucks because you have to be stuck with them for the next 8 months. But the most important part is, I think in first year university, a lot of you are still transitioning from the high school learning method to the university college learning method. You're going to have wacky sleeping schedules. You're gonna have different semester courses, time schedules. So being in a single room would have been a lot better for me, because for the most part, there was a stretch of months where I would sleep really late and wake up really late in the day, whereas my roommate was a nursing student, so all her courses always started at 9. So it was a bit of a, so I would always be woken up by her, and by the time I slept, she was already sleeping, so I couldn't really study in my room. I had to go find a nook in the red somewhere to study. So at times, there were definitely a lot of things where I wish I was just in my own single room, because I could do whatever I want. I could sleep whenever I want. I could have the light turn on whenever I want and not have to be and not consider how it's going to impact my roommate. And then likewise, for her, I'm sure it was also a similar thing. So being in a single room, I think, would have been a lot better, because it would have allowed me to study more, instead of, I think at times I kind of told myself I can't really study because there's no nooks around the res, or the spot that I prefer is taken up. So I would make a lot of excuses in my head to not study, and I think my marks kind of show that. I definitely, took a plunk in my first year grades, and it took a good part of second year and definitely third year to recoup. So I think if I was in a single room, there were a lot of things that may not have happened. And so looking back, when choosing my residence, being in a traditional res was fun. I would, go for it again. Being on a theme floor, yeah, it was fun, but not a huge deal breaker. Whether or not the how the residence looked from the outside, it does not matter at all. But what really mattered for me was whether or not I was in a single or double room. And looking back, I would choose a single room over a double room.